Hello, everyone. It's MJ. Welcome to my channel called Reading This Life. Welcome to another Saturday support BookTube support group. We are here to do our Q&A. We have a special guest today. We have Jason from his channel, the channel of a disappointed man. So he is backstage hanging out right now. This is his first live, which is really exciting. And it's awesome to see everyone in the comments. And also, welcome if you are watching this on the replay. We're sorry that you weren't able to make it, but we're glad that you're here now. Okay, let's see who all is in the chat. Wow, we have so many people so far. Let's see. Hello, William. How are you? Hello, Jess. Hello, new readers. Jenny Parks. Hi, guys. I can't stay long. I'm at work, but can chill for a few minutes and then watch the rest later. Well, thank you so much for taking the time, Jenny. I appreciate it. Christopher, hello. Celeste, hello. Erie, what's going on? Is your world getting more teal? Erie, the more teal, the better the world will be. That's what I say. Hello, Sandy. How are you? Great to see you. Hey, you can't be in two places at once. What's going on? Hello, Alan. Hello, Domesticated Wildflower. I hope everyone is having a great Saturday so far. Welcome to everybody that's on the West Coast. Hello, Alan. Early bird. Got your coffee? Cheers. So we are going to go through the questions. I hope everyone is having great weather where you are. It's super humid where I am today. And I think Jason is going to tell us a little bit about his weather as well. Also, just so you know, I have a little bit of a cold coming off. I have a cough, so I might hit my mic to have a little cough session. So just excuse me for that. But I didn't want to cancel this. I'm like, we're going through with the Support Small BookTube. All right, I am going to bring Jason over now. Hi, Jason.
Oh, hi there.
How are you?
Hello. I'm fine. Do I need to move my chair just a little? I'm not sure.
You can do whatever you want. Whatever works.
I really don't know which. All right, that's just about right. Okay, hi everyone.
The goal is to look like your channel. That's what I say. Like whatever you feel comfortable with.
I'm wearing the, I have the right apparel.
There you go.
The usual bookcase there.
Awesome.
It's a little more nerve-wracking.
Yeah. So let's just give some people a little bit of background about where you are. So
I've been told to come forwards. Okay.
So you're in Taiwan.
Yes, I am in Taiwan. I am in Taiwan.
And what time is it? What time is it in Taiwan right now?
I'm 12 hours ahead of you, MJ. So it's very convenient, actually. When you're having your breakfast, I'm having my dinner or something like this. So it's very convenient, actually. You're in a great spot. I don't know which city you're in, but
I'm in the northeast of the U.S. So it's 9 a.m. here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's your weather like in Taiwan? You mentioned it was really humid.
Typhoon season. So some days it's very rainy. Most days it's super hot. Today I think it was about 36.
Okay. 36.
36 degrees C, and that is kind of not as hot as it gets. And it wasn't very humid today, but often the humidity is just crippling.
Wow. That sounds really warm. Okay, so let's get into our questions. So for people that don't know your channel, one thing excuse me. One thing that I like to do is pull people over from different corners of BookTube that may not be familiar with a certain channel. So a lot of the people that are hanging out in the comments may not know your channel. So give us a little bit about your backstory. Tell us about how it all started. How's it going? And maybe the first video that you did.
Oh, okay. Actually, I did notice in the comments section, there are some unlikely viewers whose channels I do watch.
Good.
So Jess Book Girl TV, I know your channel is nothing like mine, but I do watch what you do.
That's awesome.
So in May 2022. Oh, okay. I'm just getting a message from my floor manager saying I look too small.
You're fine.
Just actual size. Okay, so May 2022, I finished my master's thesis, more or less. I think people that watch my channel know. that I'm still in school, even though I'm 50 years old. It's kind of depressing. I'm a teacher as well, so I go to school. I even wear shorts
I
to
love
go
it.
to school like a little boy, and then I go to the university as well. So May 2022, I was finishing my thesis and applying for the PhD program, but you have to wait about a semester to find out if you'll get a spot. And
Okay.
so I thought I can't do nothing for 6 months. So I thought I'd make a few videos. And you had to make a video to apply to their program.
Oh,
So I'd already done that. You make a 10-minute YouTube video and upload it and then share the link. And that gave me a little bit of practice.
nice.
And there's a funny story connected with this later when I
Okay.
actually do the video for the PhD application. The university never factored in that the person may have a thriving channel. So I uploaded my application video and there are already 500 subscribers
That's awesome.
watching it. So I was like, oh, they never thought about that, did they? So I must say, I was watching some BookTube videos for inspiration, and the two channels that made an impact on me were, Jim at Leaf by Leaf?
No.
Oh, well, maybe some of the people in the viewers or in the comment section will know Jim, but he's got a wonderful setup. It's all that kind of Mr. Apple ecosystem. So he's got an amazing room that's all lined with books. Like the whole room is lined with books, and his hair's got these curtains, and he's very urbane. And I was commenting on Jim's videos, and he was into some of the same books as myself. And the back and forth got me thinking, hold on, I could do a video just like him. I won't have 20,000 subscribers like him, but I could do a BookTube video. And then Jack, I think you probably do know, at the Rambling Raconteur.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so I commented on some of Jack's, and I had a little communication with them as well, sort of off channel. And that got me started. And one of the first uploads I did is the #1 video on my channel. It's talking about Thomas Bernhard. And Jack linked to that. And that gave me my first burst of subscribers in sort of June 2022. So I went from about 3 subscribers to about 50 in about 2 weeks or something.
That's awesome.
And then from there, I carried on making my videos, and now I've got about 600 subscribers. It's about 15 months down the line, and I've made about 135 videos. I shouldn't be so nervous, but I've made a lot of videos.
That's awesome. Yeah, and you had a BookTube birthday not too long ago, right?
I did. I tend to put the most appealing pictures I can find. So, yeah, you know what it was, don't you? You know what that picture was. Little boy with chocolate on his face and a 1-year birthday cake. Yeah, I'm very sparing with the community posts. I'm not so sure if you use them that much, MJ, but I'm always worried that people will see them and think, oh God, it's, like, oh, that guy won't leave me alone, and hit the unsubscribe button.
Yeah, I'll tell you a story. I started using my community tab a little bit too much in the last week. So I made a hard decision. I opened up my Instagram again. So
oh, really?
Yeah, so all of my photos and the fun things are going to be over on Instagram. And then I'm still going to do the polls and quizzes and like check in with people on the community tab. But I was doing like 3 or 4 posts a day. And I'm like, if I was a subscriber, I think this was too much.
Yeah, it's like, being pecked at.
Yeah. So when you started your channel, did you have like a goal or a vision? Like once it started taking off, did you say, hey, this is a thing that really I could get into?
Yes and no, I suppose. At the start, I had a different mentality because I didn't know how to do any video editing. I didn't even know how to really I could just about manage a trim, but I think on my first videos, you can see me pushing, you can see me, turning the camera on and off at the start because I haven't worked out how to trim that part out. So it was very basic. And another time I took my phone back to the phone shop because I noticed that the colors didn't look right anymore on the videos. And I was really enraged when I went to the store and put the phone on the table. I said, all the colors have gone wrong and all of this. And the guy took my phone away and he came back in about 5 minutes later from the back of the shop. And I thought he'd have a toolbox, you know, some special equipment. He had a cloth. He just wiped my phone and said, "You haven't cleaned your phone. It's just dirty. It's just dirty, Mr. Kennedy. Here you go." And I was looking at it thinking, I'm so angry with this guy. I'm so mad, but he's 100% right.
Yeah.
That's where all the colors were hiding under a layer of grease. So my original videos, they get more and more faded. They're like, is it sepia or sepia? They're like sepia tinted by the time I've been filming for a month. I was on a balcony as well, so there's lots of pollution out there. And I'm not naturally, I do have greasy fingers, you know. So that was the level of my technical ability was just so low. And also, and we'll talk about this, because of that, I was recording all the videos like in one take because I wasn't sure how to edit it. So a 10-minute video, I had to turn it on and talk for 10 minutes. And sometimes I do 20 or 30 takes to try and get it right. So it's a lot of
20 or 30.
But that's not when we get onto the how I make the videos. Yeah, there's a whole thing about how people make their videos. I don't know if people realize what it takes to make a disappointed video. The most takes was about 50 of one 2-minute segment.
Wow.
Yeah, to get it right. And my filming usually lasts kind of all day. Yeah, to get them right. And they are partly, the scripting goes back and forward, but they are performances basically. So that's why I'm feeling so exposed today, because
you're live.
I can't control my performance, you know. I'm something of a perfectionist, MJ.
You're doing just fine, just so you know. So
okay, that's good.
Do you have a goal for your
the goal or the vision? Yes. Now the question. I've got some notes that I made because I thought I've got some very useful advice for anyone who's watching, who's thinking of setting up a channel.
Yes.
So, all right. I need the glasses for a second. Oh, yes. Here it is. Oh, yeah. I had a set of principles rather than a goals or a
set of principles. Whoa. All right. I'm all ears.
Yeah. But I can't tell you what they are, MJ. This goes on to my next point. If you've got your own sort of set of principles, you don't need to state them explicitly.
True.
They'll be there in what you're doing. So I never did the BookTube newbie tag because I didn't want to define the channel myself.
How did I find you?
Sorry?
How did I find you?
I think I commented on one of your videos and said, "Excuse me, you're helping small booktubers. I'm small. Please promote me." And then after that, someone commented, they went over and counted my subscribers. I did think this was very petty. And then they wrote a comment saying, "He's got 162. That's not small." No.
Yes, it is.
And they said, "I've had my channel for 3 times longer than him, and I've only got 86.
The pettiness of
so I didn't know how to respond to it. I did write a reply, a very not a passive aggressive reply, but a kind of passive reply apologizing.
Yeah.
You know, I said if I could, I'd make everyone hit the unsubscribe button right now, you know, if it would make you happy. So
so you had a set of principles that you keep close to your heart.
Yes, I do. And anyone who watches the channel will be able to define these for themselves. That's part of the charm of watching. But there is a takeaway from this that I want to share. And it's, you should not define your audience for yourself. You shouldn't think about that too much, because what I found is, and I'll read it out, it's very pithy. Your potential audience is larger and more diverse than you think. That's my takeaway there. So there's no need to say, I'm the Victorian literature guy or I'm the classic books guy, because people watch for so many different reasons that it's better to just leave it open. And I've had many messages where I never would have dreamed why people were watching. Some people sent me the messages about the ASMR qualities of some of the videos, which I had to look that up. I wasn't sure what ASMR was, but yeah, after I saw that, I thought, oh, that's very nice, because I had the rain coming down, and I was surrounded by plants at that
Yes,
point.
I remember.
And then another aspect is I've had quite a lot of interest from people where English is not their first language. They
Mhm.
really like this channel. And one of the reasons, my wife is Taiwanese, so she will turn on the closed captions. And
Mhm.
she said that these captions are perfectly accurate
Good.
because of my speed and my clarity, you know. So
Mhm.
that was something I never would have dreamed of. So there's some viewers from Pakistan, there's some from Jordan. I know there's some from France. So that was, you know, so like I say, your YouTube has exposes you to, what is it, billions of people. So
Yeah.
you don't need to be putting yourself in a box. Just
Mhm.
make
100%.
your videos.
Yes.
Is that all I have to say on this? Let me check the notes. Oh no, that was that was supposed to be like my boom, you know,
That was a
my
good boom,
boom
though. I
to
liked it.
sort of go. Okay, so the goals, yeah.
Mhm.
The goals, I'll come on to this a bit later, but if I could go back in time and start my channel again, one of the main things I would do is stop looking at YouTube Studio and counting every new subscriber
Mhm.
and celebrating every new view,
Yeah.
and then also cursing the impressions. You know, you make a video and you put it up, and after 2 days you've had like 3 impressions. You think, why is YouTube killing me? You know, why
Mhm.
does it want anyone? So I think if I had a little message as well about that, is try not to get hung up on what your channel is doing in the early days,
Right.
and use the time at the start to just get better at what you want to do, and don't worry that no one's watching. It's like dancing in front of the mirror in your
Yeah.
bedroom or something like this at the beginning. So it's
Yes.
kind of a mercy that you don't have a large audience at the start. And I cringe about my early videos. On my second one, I think it is Great Short Novels, I look like Nosferatu. I'm in a corner. I'm I'm barely lit. I have this caterpillar mustache, and I'm kind of like, do you want to know about short novels? No, want to know about short novels? You know, it's
Yeah.
creepy.
Shorty September.
Honestly. Yeah, so I just pretend those videos never happened, but I have a wife who never lets me forget them. So every now and again, she'll laugh at me and say, you know, you're doing the Gothic. What about that short novels video? You did a very good impersonation of Dracula on that occasion.
That's so good. I love that. So, okay. So goals and visions. We good with that?
Oh, hold on. The last bit is the vision part, I suppose now. All right. So this is the vanity part going to kick in. Okay, so the vision. Well, those channels that I looked at. All right, are you ready to? If you got some tissues to wipe away your tears of laughter when I say this?
No, no.
Well, some of the channels I watched have about 20,000 subscribers,
Mhm.
and I thought, even now when I look at my videos, I think their content is not actually any better than mine. So
Correct.
if I hit the level of just doing it, then
Mhm.
I imagine in time I would have like, I'll have thousands of subscribers. If I aim high would be my advice. So
Mhm.
I don't set a ceiling on things. I've got no intention of monetizing my channel, so it doesn't matter to me. I
Yeah,
mean, how many there are. Apart from the more, the merrier.
absolutely. Absolutely. And we always have to remember that a lot of like half of my views come from people that aren't subscribed. So I
Oh,
really don't.
most of mine come from my subscribers. Actually, they're really loyal, and they watch my
Yeah.
videos for about 3 times longer than the non-subscribed. But that
Mhm.
kind of tells me that people are watching because they like the style.
Yes. Yes. And people
We
like
commit.
consistency too. Your videos are
So,
very consistent.
yeah, actually, that's when I said about being a perfectionist. They're consistent to satisfy myself.
There you go.
They
Yeah.
have to be very precise. And I never move my tripod. I have a dedicated tripod for the camera.
Mhm.
So I've got a second one if I want to go outside. And I have tape on the floor for where to put the chair.
You're like a
And
pro.
I have tape on the table. For
Nice.
I use actually it's because I'm always surrounded by like what are those things called? They're not post-it notes. What are these called, MJ? I'm not sure. What are these?
Oh, tabs? Sticky
Tabs,
tabs?
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mark on the table with those tabs where to put the arms of the legs,
Arms, legs,
of the
okay.
tripod.
Some appendage.
Yeah. Not sure if it's the right terminology there. So no, I'm a model of consistency. That's why it takes so many takes to get this thing right.
Nice. Let's just catch up with some comments before we continue, because I think there's some that may fall to the wayside because of how we're progressing. So let's just see.
Good.
Let's see. Sandy said, "Great to see you." Jess told me to feel better. Jenny Parks is saying hello. Williams Library saying, "Oh, hi." Jess says, "Thank you, Jason." William says, "You look good for 50, Jason."
Oh, thank you. My new range of skincare products will be available in the fall.
Alan from Big Hard Books and Classics says, "Chris at Leaf by Leaf." Is it LEAF?
Oh God, dear. That goes back to one of my I am a perfectionist, but names are a problem, and character names, author names, book titles. I've got them all wrong. I've had to put apologies in there. Yeah, it's Chris, isn't it? It's not Jim. Unless he's changed his name back. Oh yeah, he's changed his name back to Chris. Yeah, fine.
Okay. Jenny had to leave. She said, "See you all next time." William says, "I always think carefully before posting something on the community tab." Alan says, "I used to do a lot of fancy editing, no more." William says, "I do minimal edits." New Breeder says, "I edit my video the entire day, LOL."
Yes.
William says, 86. I'm still on 77. Sandy says, "Very good chat. So relaxing." Alan says, "Jason's bookshelves resemble mine."
Oh, well, actually, all of my bookshelves were rescued off the street when people are moving house. So I just collect them. They're all free. So they're all various, and they're all made of that kind of MDF, right?
Yeah.
Medium density fiberboard, and most of them are crumbling in some spot. They're all kind of collapsed, but put them all together.
Yeah.
It's got that junk shop vibe.
Definitely. Celeste says, "The beginnings are a good time to find your niche too."
Oh yeah, that is for sure.
Erie says, "Nosferatu in the corner sounds like a great recurring segment."
Oh, I don't even know how I could make my camera setup look so bad again. I was using a different camera. We'll come on to that with the technology, but different generations of phone absolutely make a huge difference. Yeah. And I swapped from one Samsung phone to another, and it was like night and day.
Domesticated Wildflower says, "I need to get more videos out now that kiddos are back in school." Gola says, "Happy Saturday." All right, let's pick up where we left off. We are all caught up with the comments now. So we talked about goals and visions. Let's talk about obstacles. What were your biggest obstacles or challenges that you had when you first started your channel?
I would say the noisy neighbors were one obstacle. I still haven't really solved this problem. The neighbors are very noisy. That's just urban life. The population density in Taiwan is really high, and everyone's apartment has an alley, and some of the people will be outside making lots of noise. So that dog's barking. Someone had a parrot for a while. It wasn't one that could talk, fortunately, but it did make quite a lot of noise. And then there are some children. I'm waiting for them to grow up. There was a baby that was teething. These are all things that are really difficult to do anything about, MJ. You can't really go and knock on someone's door and say, "Excuse me, I know your baby's teeth are coming through. Could they just be quiet between like 4 and 6 o'clock?"
Yeah.
Then other obstacles I had was, I would say I'm not naturally endowed with huge amounts of confidence. So it wasn't easy at the start. And actually, we'll talk more about that when we go on to like the technology part. But the editing is a little bit to do with that to a degree. That was also to do with the noise, because I could only record for about a minute or two before a truck would drive up the alley. So, it's very frustrating if you're in the middle of a 10-minute monologue and then suddenly there's a truck outside or collecting the garbage, and it's playing, which they do here. They play for Elisa on the thing. So the editing was partly to get around like the frustration of when dogs start barking when you're in your flow. So we'll come on to that. But yeah, the main obstacle I would say was just staring at my own face in the camera and noise.
Yeah. Okay. What obstacles or challenges do you face now since your channel has grown?
Oh, all right. I'm not really combining work with making the videos because, like I said, the process is really intensive to produce them. So people might have noticed in the last few months that I've not made quite as many of the 20-minute videos as before.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to make the deep videos that people really enjoy, but I've had to just be realistic about how much time I've got.
Yeah.
Someone just made the comment there that the kids are going back to school, so they'll make more videos. But for me, when the kids go back to school, I'm more busy because I'm teaching in a
Right.
cram school over here, and also I'm going to my classes, and I'm also doing my service in the department. So I tutor one-to-one like a bunch of undergraduates. I help them with all their academic writing. So the main issue for me is finding the time. And sometimes I'm ready to record, but I look a bit tired. And so vanity kicks in, and I refuse to, to show my big circles around my eyes to my YouTube audience. Sometimes I get a message saying, "Oh, you look very tired on that last video." I'm like, "Oh dear, sorry."
That's the worst. That's like a backhanded comment to me.
Yeah. So I'm feeling fresh today. I've been doing I put in a nap, hour nap.
Good. Oh yeah, because it's later over there too. I keep forgetting.
Yeah, it is quite late. And another thing, I can't really film early in the morning because when I wake up, my face is particularly puffy. I don't know if this is just genetic, but it takes, like, my head is about twice the size when I wake up, and I have to wait for it to spring. And then usually I'm looking at my watch like, oh, I've got to get to school now. So I can't record against the clock. Sometimes I'll do little bits over a few days. And my hair will be growing too quickly. Another problem I have is that my hair grows too quickly. So if I take too long to make a video, it will look like time lapse.
Yeah, like
I'll start off with a fade, and by the end of it, I have hair like Einstein in 10 minutes. So that's my hair has also been an obstacle.
I'm telling you, my hair needs its own channel. I've been saying that for 2 years now.
I was thinking about that.
Yeah. What is the biggest?
I'll drop in my Chinese now because it's hair related. My students here are adamant that I've got to speak a bit of Chinese, and they think it's very funny. So can I just do it now?
Do it now.
All right. 大家好，我叫 Jason, and 我有爆炸头，谢谢. Like that. So I'll translate. I just said, "Hi everyone, my name's Jason. I have an afro or exploding hair, literally in Chinese. Thank you." Okay, so I've got that out. I'm going to pick that off.
Ni hao.
Ni hao. Hello, everyone.
Let's see. Jess has a question. Jason, what do you teach?
What do you think I teach? That would be the question. What is the only thing I'm qualified to teach? Watching my channel.
Put your answers in the comment section.
I teach English, and I teach it to everyone from starters, elementary school, grade 1, all the way to undergraduates at the university. But at the university, it's more about, the drafting academic papers. They can have a little bit of support if they don't know what certain words mean or collocations, things like this. But when I'm in the school, it's English as a second language is what I'm doing. But fortunately, I didn't know this until I became a teacher out here, but I do love children actually. So this job is fine.
Good. That's wonderful. It's a job is so much more meaningful when you actually enjoy what you do.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Let's talk about the best piece of advice you ever learned from a BookTuber.
I don't really have one. I think we'll come on to this when. Oh, this might sound. Hold on a second. This sounds contradictory because I don't really have any great advice I got from a YouTuber, but I do have my answers already drafted for my advice to prospective BookTubers. Okay. I would say that the way I benefited was by watching a range of BookTubers
Mhm.
And shall I give away a few trade secrets here while I'm here, or not?
Yes. Yes. Give
Because on
away,
my channel,
give away
you
all
may
your
have noticed. Oh, okay, my secret. You may have noticed on my channel, I don't usually delve into any of the. I don't show you anything behind what I'm doing,
Mhm.
right? I
Yeah.
don't do any of that. That is part of the set of principles, the vision.
The
But
secret.
I'll share a secret here. When I was watching the BookTube channels to decide how to do my own,
Mhm.
it's going to sound strange, but the channels that really impressed me were the ones where they're usually young women talking about books, and they'll have like 50,000 subscribers, and they're really polished and fastidious about how they do their videos. And
Mhm.
although I'm a 50-year-old man and I'm just surrounded by like old stuff, and I
Mhm.
don't have any beautiful or aspirational soft furnishings in
Aesthetics.
my in so, yeah, all this stuff, or the coffee cup constantly in your hand, all this stuff. Although I don't have any of those trappings,
Yeah.
I do admire the diligence, and the kind of perfectionist nature of what they do. So of course I'm not competing with them. I'm not young, I'm not beautiful, but I did take something from watching those, and I was more swayed by how they did their presentations than
Mhm.
the people that were talking about the same kind of books that I'm interested in, who tended to be uh, similar in profile to myself. They tended to be middle-aged men. I wasn't as drawn to their presentation style. So my secret here is I borrowed from those very polished,
Mhm.
um, people with huge followings,
Yeah.
and my content though is completely different. But I think that's my combination there. That is my unique selling point.
I love
One of
that.
them.
That's good. Thank you for that little gem of wisdom. So what advice would you give to someone that's starting a new channel?
Oh yeah, this is where I've got about
Notes. You got
60
notes.
pages of notes to get through. Okay, yeah, I've got some very penetrating advice, so I
Wait,
advise everyone to
did you
listen carefully.
did you type those notes?
Yeah, of course.
Oh my
This is
God.
the email I sent you
I
to
feel
show
so slack.
that. Yeah, and you sent me a message saying, I'm not reading this rubbish. All right, so I've got some very important things here. Very
Okay.
important. Oh, hold on. That is not the. Oh, yeah, the advice. Oh, yeah, this is important. It's
Okay.
your channel. Okay.
Me?
You have complete control. Don't feel pressure to copy anyone else's channel.
Mhm.
You know, don't do that. Find your own way to do it. That would be my first piece of advice. And then I've got some little thing here. I thought you might ask me why I don't use my own name for my channel, but this is part of my advice.
Mhm.
So shall I go into this?
Sure.
Yeah, well, one, I've got a very common name, MJ.
Mhm.
My name is Jason Kennedy, and there's a star of the NBA. There's
Mhm.
a Hollywood star.
Yep.
There are about 1,000 professors already called Jason Kennedy.
Mhm.
So if I become a professor, I will have to compete
Mhm.
against other Professor Jason. So that was a problem there. So I named my channel. I gave it a different name, but that played into the fact that my videos are. I'll take these off now. My videos are performances, MJ.
Yeah.
So they were not just like I'm here today, as people might gather. There's something different. So because it was a persona, the disappointed man, I didn't want to just say this is just me and talk about my own life all the time and do that kind of very tacky approach to booktubing.
Mhm.
Instead, part of the vision was to distill like what I thought were my best qualities for talking about books, and screen out the noise and
Mhm.
just leave something there that was quite pure. That's one reason I can't monetize, because I can't insert ads into what I'm doing. It will really destroy the ambience that I've tried to create with the
Right.
videos. I'm not interested in money anyway, but it would really, with my channel, it won't work. I'm not part of the Instagram or TikTok generation with a lot of fast cutting, and I know that people like the relaxing quality.
Yeah.
of the presentation. So one reason I gave my channel a name that wasn't my own was to just distinguish between when I'm doing my presentations and when I'm just here like today. That's why I'm so nervous today.
That's okay.
You don't have to follow that, but that was just my approach. Don't think you have, don't think, and also natural. What is natural? You have to work at being natural. You might think you can just turn on the camera and just talk, but really, when you watch the videos back, what you're going to find is you've got all kinds of little bits of behavior or tics that you're not aware of. And one thing I would give as advice is to remember that the camera hears and sees absolutely everything. So you have to get control over how you appear. And I've got some great advice for a tip here. Watch your videos with the audio off.
Oh gosh.
Watch your video with the sound off, and you should still be engaged. If your presentation style is good, you'll still find it interesting.
Yeah.
So that is one of my top tips there. And less is more. Actually, your presentations can get better by taking out your little nervous tics and things like this. Then it will improve. So the other piece of advice was just look for small gains when you're making your videos. Watch the video you did last time. There'll always be something you're not happy about if you're in any way a perfectionist, but just generally there'll be something you're not happy with. Remember what that thing was, and don't do it again.
Yeah.
And just, if you do this and you keep taking out the little bits that don't quite work, and you do that, and you've made 100 videos, you'll be a good presenter by the end.
Yeah.
Because it's all of those little things that detract from the quality of your content. You will be free of those. It will be purified. So that is also why I'd recommend that people are very consistent. You can make some big changes at the beginning. If your backdrop is not quite right, just change it. That's okay. But don't try to just lurch from one video to the next without building on what you've done. And don't be too hard on yourself when you watch back what you did, because you're not going to be perfect right at the start. But just feel that you're traveling in the right direction. And there is one piece of advice, because I am a perfectionist. Never upload a video if you're not 100% satisfied with it.
Correct.
It will kill you afterwards.
Yeah.
I've had sleepless nights when something wasn't quite right.
Mm-hmm.
So I would really urge you, if you have any qualms about what you've done, sit on it. Don't just be excited that you finished recording and just put it straight up.
Right.
I've scrapped whole videos and started again. You know, my wife will say, "What are you doing?" I'm saying, "No, something's off.
Mm-hmm.
Lighting wasn't quite right, or something was buzzing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I can't put this up there." It's not that it's going to kill your channel. It kills you as a creator if you've got work that you're not happy with. And you're 100% happy when you upload it, but you'll be about 75% happy after it's been there 24 hours and you watch it back. You'll still find things you could have done better. Just like I say, take them into the next video, and you'll steadily improve.
Wonderful.
Is that good advice there? Maybe
That's
some
sage advice.
Comments or questions about that advice. All right. What was my other thing? Oh yeah, a bit of branding as well. Can go a long way. I didn't have any graphics for about the first 4 months, but I did have the same greeting every time, and I did have the same goodbye. So don't underestimate the value of just having some pattern for yourself for how you do your videos, because it's not just for your audience, it's for you. And the whole reason human beings have habits is because they reduce anxiety, because you don't have to think, they're automatic. So put some automatic behaviors into your videos is a great way to deal with nerves. As people might have gathered from the live stream, you know, this is a very different disappointed man to what you see on the videos. But why can I be relaxed on the videos? It's a performance. So I have to appear relaxed. I don't have to be relaxed.
Right.
I just show you the signs that I'm relaxed and you'll think I'm relaxed, right? But you do that by having some some bits of routine in your videos, it also works well for your audience. They'll identify with what you're doing. My graphics are all the same. I'm a year into doing my videos and they always look the same, right? Everyone knows what they are, but all they are just, I think I'm using impact and a few colors that I like. But you don't need any fancy editing software or anything at all to start putting these little markers that help people, you know, feel like they're in this same space. Every time they click on your video, they're back with you, back in front of your bookcase, like no time has passed, like you're developing some kind of bond with the creator. So that's my big message.
No, that all that is fantastic, and I completely agree with you. When I go into a video and I say fiction, friends, and fun, I'm dropping in and I'm present. Yeah, and it's almost like it's the light switch for me to turn on. You know,
that's
wonderful.
Right. That's right, MJ. Because actually, I wanted to say that I didn't get a chance to say it at the start. I was too nervous, but you know, I really admire the way you do your channel.
Oh, thank you.
I do see that although we're very different people, that some of the habits of creating these videos, we both employ the same approach. So absolutely, when I say, actually, I don't know if anyone ever noticed, but my wife did. But when I used to do I don't do it so much now, but hi there and welcome to the channel of Disappointed Man with me, Jason Kennedy did this, right? But whenever I said Jason Kennedy, I always put my hand on my neck.
Yes.
Every single time. That was part of the, you know, like you said, dropping into the zone. So,
wonderful. All right.
Sorry. One more comment though. The consistency should also apply to like your lighting, your camera, you know, your camera angle, your backdrop. So it's not just about your performance should be consistent. It's good if your environment. Yes, and I'm very lucky. I put I put black cloth all over my window. So even if I record in the daytime, the light is always from the light up here. So it will always look the same. And so think about at the start, you need to play around with it because the angles will not be right. But once you find the sweet spot, just stop. You know, when you get there and lock that in. And I noticed that a lot of booktubers at the start, please try not to use a laptop webcam to do your videos. So it's looking up like this. I don't think that's a good look. A downward angle conceals a multitude of chins.
Yes, angles are important. I'm on my laptop now and it's raised up.
Oh, well, it's all right for you because you do all your fitness. You know, you're very fit. But for someone like me who's very fat, then it doesn't work so well.
All right, let's see. We went through the best advice. We went through, okay, let's talk about community. Let's talk about your community. What does the community aspect of BookTube mean to you?
Well, for me, principally the community, they are the commenters on my videos, actually, rather than my fellow booktubers. And I do communicate with a handful. I don't watch lots of BookTube videos, I have to be honest. But I thought I might say what I will find most off-putting about a channel is the presentation style rather than the content. There are people who talk about books that I'm really interested in, but the way they present their thoughts, I can't watch it. I'm more swayed by the presentation style. I don't mean they need a beautiful home. They don't need a beautiful home. They don't need a beautiful camera. They don't need to be good looking at all. None of that. It's more about if I detect any kind of certain notes in the way they present, if I see anything that's strident, anything that's dismissive, anything that feels overly judgmental, there'll be certain things there. There was one channel where I really did agree with a lot of what they said. They had so many great points, but they used their hands a lot in the style, and so I stopped watching. People might notice on my channel that again, you don't see the disappointed man's hands very often. That is part of what I control. I don't like how it looks, so I don't do it.
That's a part of your aesthetic.
Yes, yes.
Mhm.
So it's usually the aesthetic that I can find off-putting, and ironically or paradoxically, the very chatty, like on the couch, like you're watching daytime TV, like you're a guest in someone's home, and
Mhm.
they're there like drinking their tea and their coffee while they talk. I can find that really off-putting. Like I used to do one-to-one teaching where I would go to someone's house and I would sit in their house and I would teach their child English, and nothing made me more uncomfortable than visiting strangers' homes. And so I find the idea that they've got me kind of on their couch, like way too close. So part of the disappointed man's aesthetic is that you shouldn't feel like I'm on top of you. You shouldn't
Mhm.
feel like I'm dominating you or I'm trying to make you think what I think, or um, I've got some real message that I'm trying to hammer home.
Mhm.
So I would
One
say the presentation style is really important.
one of the I wouldn't say feelings, but a part of your aesthetic is an interesting thing because how you present yourself and your videos. There's a distance, but there's also a closeness. Does that make sense?
MJ, you're revealing all my secrets on the.
No, no, but
You are.
that's just my
I can
take.
hold on. I can see my subscriber count just dropping as we're talking.
No.
Here. I've got the YouTube studio up. It's just like dropping like a stone. Did you ever notice that when you upload a new video that it always seems to make your subscriber count drop by about 3 the moment you upload it? It's like the stats refresh when you upload, so you're always like, oh, I just thought, Um, MJ, you've hit the nail on the head. You've given away my secret. The distance is like yeah, there's different kinds of distance, right? I
Mhm.
want people to feel that I'm not preaching to them or that's why I don't go. I'm a teacher and I teach literature at the university as well, but
Yeah.
my videos are not really pedagogical, even though they do include a lot of information. I
Mhm.
don't treat it as a classroom
Right.
in any respect.
Mhm.
And yeah, this is the balancing act between, like you said, a little distance and the closeness as well.
Yeah. That's like the perfect way that I can describe your channel because it's distant but friendly.
Yeah, that's right. I think you have this as well on your channel. That's one of the reasons I agreed to come on, actually.
Oh, well, thank you.
It's true.
Okay, so we talked about your community. How
Oh,
about
sorry. Sorry. One thing that should just say. I should just say the booktubers that helped me and that I do follow what they do. So Jack, the Rambling Raconteur,
yeah.
Chris and Jim at Leaf by Leaf, um, Reg and Aaron Facer. He's like back there in the UK.
Yes.
When I see his like sort of hangdog expression, my heart goes out to him like he's still living in the UK. I just feel sorry for him there. Um, and who else was it? The Grim Reader
Mhm.
and Jess Book Girl TV. I'll watch some of these and anyone that I've forgotten who's in the comments. I'm sorry if you're there. Jim Books reading and stuff. I think it'll be too late for him or too early for him. So he's probably not watching this right now.
Yeah, he'll
Okay, so
probably watch. He usually watches on the replay if he's not here.
yeah, so anyone starting the BookTube, you can reach out and you find that you're not going to be friends with every single BookTuber or have any kind of relationship with them, but as long as you found 3 or 4, maybe you do the tag videos or you make leave some comments on their videos that you like and just interact a little bit. And Jack was really helpful to me, the Rambling Raconteur. I always come back to that because he had no reason to help me, MJ.
Yeah.
I was using my old phone. I didn't have the light set up properly. I didn't know how to edit, but he saw past that and he recommended my video. And one really interesting thing, even though I talked about presentation style being important, my
Mhm.
Thomas Bernhard video looks terrible. I look homeless. I really do look homeless. I've got a huge, I'm unshaven. I've got the hair's even bigger.
Mhm.
I think I was sick and I'm coughing but it's still got 2,500 views after a year. And it's still my #1 video every month for the viewing figures. So
That's
everyone
wonderful.
looks past. They
Yeah.
can look past the presentation style if the content is there,
Mhm.
but you can help yourself by getting both of the things right. You help yourself if you can get the presentation and the content working together. That is the dream.
Yeah, definitely. So you touched on tech when you first started. Let's explore that a little bit more. So what tech did you actually use when you started your channel?
Sorry.
That's okay.
All right, I was using a Samsung A7 phone
Mhm.
from 2017. So I didn't realize it was an old phone. I thought these things don't change that much, but apparently every component of a smartphone is replaced like every generation, every like 18
Yeah.
months or so. I didn't realize this. This phone I've got now is fantastic. It's a Samsung S23 with
Mhm.
5 cameras on it. It's got
Wow.
two on the front, 3 on the back. The
Mhm.
colors are absolutely fantastic. I don't use any lighting other than the house lighting. So I've just got and it doesn't even have a shade. I've just got one of those energy
Just old.
saving lights.
Mhm.
I don't use a ring, you know. Do you? Do you use a ring?
Well, because I'm in my office, and a lot of times when I tape, the sun isn't coming through the windows, so I have to use a ring light, and you can see it in my glasses sometimes. But I mean,
Okay,
it's
so and then I was doing them on the balcony, so
yeah,
it was too noisy. So I
yeah.
started coming in here when the typhoon season dragged me inside, and I used that camera for about 4 months, I think. So from May to August. So I maybe made about 30 videos, something like
Mm,
that, with the old setup.
right.
Um, but I was working on the camera angles. I got some feedback from some people watching my channel that said, you're too close to the camera, move back a bit, you're on top of us. So that was all the working out the distances and the
Yeah.
angles. And when I bought my new phone, at the start, oh, this is funny. At the start, I didn't have a tripod. So I used
Mhm.
to build a stack of books that looked
Yes.
like Jenga,
Uh-huh.
like a Jenga of books. And then I
Mhm.
would balance my phone on the top and put like a bit of rock at the front
Yeah.
and a bit of rock at the back and pray that it wouldn't get too windy or blow off. And then I'd tilt it. It wasn't very controlled. It wasn't
Mhm.
very consistent. But when I bought my new phone, they had a choice of gift in the store, and I
Uh-huh.
chose the tripod. So
Nice.
I have this Samsung tripod, and it's what you're watching me on now. It's wonderful. And yeah,
Good.
like I said, when you get it to the right height, just leave it there and buy another tripod, and you'll
Mhm.
always be ready to record. And then at the
Yeah.
beginning, the editing. Um, this goes back to consistency and branding.
Mhm.
Really simple branding. I'm not a marketing person, but I do believe in like just enough, just enough. So my 3 second, I've got this 3 second title card
Mhm.
that does my little orange, and the title. That comes out of a Windows app. It's free, called Photos. So
Mhm.
everyone who's got Windows 10, you've got Photos, even if you've never heard of it. And it's got a deceptive name because it's got a very, very basic video editor
Mhm.
that just does like a trim and title cards. So I was using this Photos app, and you can't put any pictures, above you, like you can't overlay any graphics. So I was quite happy with that. But then it stopped working properly. But even now, I always make my title cards in the Photos app
Mhm.
and export them and then put them into the other video editing software. So I wanted to include some graphics after about 4 or 5 months. So my friend said, download this software called Shotcut. So I don't know if you've heard, if you're an Apple person or a PC
Mm-mm.
person, MJ.
I'm an Apple person.
Oh, okay. So Shotcut is free, Shotcut. It's free and it's really good editing. So now I drop my clips in there, and I do all my editing there. I've got pretty proficient at doing it.
Yeah.
That's another part of it is that I'm from like I did a lot of web design in the past when I was at university. So
Mhm.
I've always been comfortable using the technology, and
Yeah.
actually I really enjoy the editing process. And I really enjoyed the performance part of recording the videos as well. When you're doing 40 takes to get it right, You have to be
Yes, I would say
enjoying
yes.
what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You want to know why I do 40 takes? Would be the
Sure.
Yeah, I'll tell you why. It's because the cadences on my presentation, the speech patterns
Mm-hmm.
they are crafted for each video.
I was
So
going to say they're deliberate.
yeah, they are deliberate.
Mm-hmm.
I will write a rough script sometimes, but then also my background was in technology, so the internet was a big thing in 2000 when I was at art school. But
Mm-hmm.
also I was writing for performance. I was writing for drama. So I use those skills with writing. So I can write a script for myself. When I practice it to the camera, if I see that the rhythms are not right, well, then I edit the script and it goes
Mm-hmm.
backwards and forwards until it's right. And I can memorize a page or two of A4 without too much difficulty. And then it's just a question of performing it and getting it spot on. But that's what I will do for the benefit of the audience watching the final product. I believe that it's worth like the hours I put in. Hopefully people appreciate.
That's wonderful. Yeah, you're very dedicated to crafting your videos, that's for sure. So tell us, Jason, a little bit about what you're reading.
Sorry, how do I fit in the reading?
No, what are you reading?
Oh, I thought you were going to say, how can I possibly read anything with how long it takes to make all the videos?
That was my follow-up question.
That is a problem, actually, when I spend a day filming when I could spend the day reading. But I'll show you what I've got some books here I can show everyone.
Sure.
Oh, on the consistency front, I want to show this. You know, do you recognize this?
I've seen that pattern before.
Yeah, well, actually, I found a shirt that I think looks good on the video, and I just leave it on the chair, and I only wear it when I'm filming. So just like, TV anchors do this, don't they? You see them, they put on their suit when they just sit down, and yeah. So if you find some clothes that you like, you can, oh, that's good. I don't even need to put it on.
That's your go-to.
Yeah, also, when I'm filming, I have a little production book. This is a top tip. Right? If you're going to do a lot of editing, what you do is you get a page of your book and you write down like the intro. And when you're happy with the take on the intro, you write down how long the intro is, like 35 seconds, because then you can keep doing lots and lots of takes. But when you load it onto your computer and pull off all of the raw video, you can match them up by how long the clip is.
Yes.
So it's extremely time saving, labor saving if you do that. Otherwise, you'll find yourself watching 100 takes to find the one that worked, right?
Right.
So create your workflow as you go, and actually, that smooths everything out and it makes it a more enjoyable experience. So I've got my little production book. Okay, so some books. I've got this one. You see, I don't know where to hold it. Tales of the Alhambra. Yeah, I don't know if people like this guy, Washington Irving.
Oh, I've read Washington Irving.
Yeah, The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, one of these early American writers. He's a superb writer, actually. So I got his Tales of the Alhambra, a book on surrealism, like the Surrealist Manifestos I'm reading. I'm doing some more illness narratives, MJ, because my PhD is on illness narratives. So I've got the Life of Helen Keller. And a fun fact is I used to live right around the corner from Helen Keller's house in Alabama.
Really?
Yeah, I lived in Alabama for I divided my time between Memphis and Alabama for about 2 years. And I really loved Alabama. And I really loved Mississippi, actually. Of all the places I've been, and I've traveled quite extensively, Mississippi in the morning, when the mist is coming off the lakes, is without doubt one of the most beautiful places I've been, and Georgia as well.
Nice.
The people in Georgia, the voices, the accents were just delicious. So, Helen Keller, I lived right around from her house. It's a very humble house. I've got another illness narrative here. This is a Taiwanese one about someone with AIDS, and we didn't really talk about this too much, did we? Like the book buying behavior. But if people watch my channel, I do focus on a lot of classic books. But actually, when I go to the bookstores these days, I've got a considerable amount of knowledge of books. So I'm usually looking for things that I don't recognize.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm looking for these days are stuff that I've never seen before. So that will be what holds my interest. You know, I'll pick up classics here and there that are missing from my collection, but it's
Mm-hmm.
really seeing stuff I've never seen before. So I found this one. It's called Among the White Moon Faces, and
Nice.
it's an Asian American memoir of homeland. He's from Malaysia. He grew up in
Okay.
Malaysia, and the thing that really interested me was it's printed by the feminist press.
Mm-hmm.
So I like the feminist kind of work. So when I saw that it was by the feminist press, then I don't know anything about her, but I will buy it. So that really got my attention. I'll give you one more.
Sure.
Is anyone going to ask why I stopped doing the Thomas Bernhard series? They're really hard videos to make, but I've got to reread The Loser and get on with number 3 of those. But they're so demanding. There's like 25 pieces of video to sort of organize and stitch together. And then last up is, do you remember this guy, Jay McInerney?
Mm-mm.
Jay McInerney?
No.
I don't know how we say it. He did that Bright Lights, Big City, New York guy. Yeah. He was like F. Scott Fitzgerald for the 90s generation, something like Bret Easton Ellis. Look at the cover on this. You see how ridiculous this cover is.
I love it.
Yeah, well, it's the French translation of his book. It's called Glamour Attitude. In English, it's Model Behavior. So I'm reading that in French. It's not really very good, but it's got a lot of very useful language in it. And it did have the ridiculous cover there.
Jason, how many languages do you speak and understand?
Okay, so you heard the bit of Chinese. I'm not really very good at Chinese. So that is basic level. And but Spanish, I can read the Spanish novels. And I use a lot of, it's not so much about reading the primary texts like poems and listening to songs or drama or prose. It's more, I can read all of the critical writing. I can read all of the scholarship, because academic writing is easier to digest in another language than novels, because there's so much cultural knowledge in a novel that it's difficult to really grasp the politics, the social part. But I do, I can also read all the French scholarship. So I use this in my writing. So for example, the Romantic period. So it's around sort of the 1790s to the 1820s. Well, France, Spain, and England were all fighting in these Napoleonic wars. So I did write quite a bit about that in my studies, because I could read, the criticism from all 3 sides.
Wow.
So
that's
I focus
amazing.
more on the Romance languages than anything else. But I spent 5 years in Guatemala. That's where I learned my Spanish. And the French, I just took a class at the university. They had an amazing teacher there who grew up in Madagascar rather than France. So he's got that African kind of spirit with the French. He's just got a certain something French people that English people don't have. I'm very envious, actually. It's just like he's more alive than me. He's just got this vitality and kind of looseness that I like. So that's the language side.
Wonderful. Okay, let's talk about what hobbies. Well, you're insanely busy with school and teaching and BookTube. Do you have any other hobbies that you enjoy?
Can I just go and turn the AC off because I'm a bit cold?
Go ahead.
Can I just go and do it? All right.
I don't want you chilly. All right. Thanks for everyone that's hanging out with us in the comments. We're going to get to your comments. And if you have a question for Jason, be sure to leave it in the comment section now, because we're gonna talk about hobbies, and then I'm gonna go through all of your comments and questions. Okay, so what are the
so the hobbies? I probably just really the thing is like you said, my whole life sort of revolves around reading, writing, and what was the other thing? Teaching. So with those 3 things, like, language is at the center of everything I'm doing. So I would say I pick out 2 things for the audience, and this is another decision you can make when you do your channel. But I'm really politically engaged. I have been since I was living in the UK. And when
Mhm.
I was growing up in the UK, it was really the heyday of newspapers. So I was an avid newspaper reader. They were my passion, going through the newspapers every day. Now it's all reading online, but I still read a lot of journalism
Mhm.
online and a lot of political comment. But I've more or less completely left that out of the channel because I don't want to put anything in there that
Yeah.
is not really strictly to do with literature. I don't want anyone to feel that I don't want them to it's too divisive to deal with
Mhm.
on a channel. It's too
Yeah.
polarizing that
Yes.
it's toxic. So
Yes.
I want my channel to be a place where people don't feel exposed to that. And
Mhm.
so that part of my life, and I would say that there's some really, truly great non-fiction political journalism that is really so well written, so engaged, and I learned so much from it. But I don't talk about it on the channel because, like I say, but I really do appreciate not just works of literature, but just communicators generally. So Chris Hedges, I have mentioned.
Mhm.
I don't know if you're aware of Chris Hedges.
Mm-mm.
Well, he's just a really principled individual. He's from the Baptist tradition. He was a Baptist minister, and he was a foreign correspondent, sorry, for the New York Times, like a bureau chief for about 8 years.
Mhm.
And he produces lots of books on American society, and his values are non-negotiable. And they're values that I kind of agree with. He's just what I guess would be defined as a progressive.
Yeah.
But his insights into American society are really valuable to me. And then there's Glenn Greenwald. I'll mention him. So Glenn Greenwald, if people, oh, just cut out. So Glenn
You're
Greenwald as well. I do admire him as a communicator, and he's also trod the same path for the last 2 decades. So I've kind of kept up with his journey as well. Me and him are on kind of similar journey. Then
okay.
sport. Soccer, I guess Americans call it, don't they? Soccer ball
We've called it
or
soccer. Yes.
football. You're all going Messi crazy at the moment. Now he's touched down in Miami. But I love English football. And my
Mhm.
wife sees like the depression that I sink into when the season ends. I'm just
Oh.
waiting for yeah, there's 2 months break. And really, that 2 months is just really unbearable.
Mhm.
It
Who do
came
you root
back
for?
like,
Who's your
sorry?
team? Who's your
Oh,
team?
Liverpool.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, they've had some success lately. But when I'm waiting, and it came back last week, so I was so happy. So on Sunday mornings, I race downstairs and I
Mhm.
stream the highlights show from England, and
Yeah.
that is my sort of real pleasure
Oh,
in
good.
terms of hobbies.
That's
Oh,
wonderful.
and the last hobby is music, of course.
Mhm.
So
What
I
do you what do
absolutely
you what genre of music do you love?
I like post-punk and punk and art rock, and I
Yes.
like a lot of electronic music. And
Yes.
you like this stuff too?
Mhm. I'm
What's
a very new romantic girl.
Oh, you like the new romantic, so like The Cure. Do you like Bauhaus?
Yes.
Oh, me too.
Huge fan.
Absolutely. I like Japan as well,
Mhm.
like those kinds of bands. But going back before those as well, so I do listen to a lot of that music. I did in a lecture once. They asked us about the interest, and I said I listen to a lot of post-punk music. And the professor said, "Oh, you must be one of the only people in Taiwan that listens to that." And I said, "Yeah." I said, "Just me and my neighbors," which is probably, which is true. And I do indulge myself. I have quite expensive like hi-fi setup. So I listen
Nice.
to this music nice and loud. It's really
Yeah.
loud. So that is another one of my pleasures. I put up the occasion. Oh, I put a playlist. If you go on my channel, there's a disappointed music playlist
Oh,
of a whole bunch of songs that I really like. And so
is that a Spotify playlist?
no, it's on YouTube.
It's
It's
a
just
YouTube
on the
playlist? Okay.
yeah, it's just public, so people can go on there and see what I like
Nice.
listening to. But my music was my passion before I got into books. Music actually was what got me into literature in a big way because
That's
some of these
wonderful.
rock bands like the Velvet Underground,
Yes.
David Bowie, they
Yeah.
were literary artists, and so they would name check different books, and then I'd want to go and check them out. So they
Yeah.
got me into like rock and roll books, like the Dice Man. Do you know this one?
No. Mm-mm.
A lot of rock bands are into the Dice Man. And the basic idea is the guy rolls a dice to decide what he's going to do next, and whatever it says, he'll do.
Oh.
So it goes all the way up to committing capital crimes. But
Wow.
that was like an early Luke Reinhardt, the Dice Man. And then there's Naked Lunch by William Burroughs, which a lot of rock fans have really been influenced by. So Steely Dan are named after
yeah.
We won't say what they're named after, but it comes from.
I just learned that last year. I didn't know.
this is venturing into like our territory, isn't it?
I know.
Even heavy metal is a phrase that was coined by William Burroughs, and he's been more influential on rock music than on literature, actually.
That's wonderful. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that is true. There's Throbbing Gristle. I like these as well. So I like a lot of like ear bleeding music. It doesn't really fit with my clean cut appearance, but that was my passion. I watched a lot of American bands when they came to the UK when I was growing up. So Sonic Youth were my absolute favorite live act that I've ever seen.
Thurston Moore has a biography coming out in October, I think.
Oh, well, I'll certainly look for that. Kim Gordon also wrote a great book about Girl in a Band, I think it was called.
Yeah.
And I haven't done a video yet about rock books, but Patti Smith, Just Kids.
I have 2 of her books downstairs.
Oh, what do you have?
I have Just Kids and one other one. Oh, is there something with the train? I can't think of the title, but it's another thin one.
But I have to say, I don't know about you, MJ, but Just Kids is one of the few books that's actually really made me choke up reading it, actually, because of the passionate relationship between her and Robert Mapplethorpe. And I was a big admirer of, and I still am, of Robert Mapplethorpe's work. And we haven't talked about this, but one other thing about my channel that's a bit different, I believe, is there's quite a lot of art on my channel. If people go and watch my Marie de France video, that was one of the ones I was most happy with, because I incorporated a lot of pre-Raphaelite art into the graphics.
Yeah.
So art is also really important, because I went to art school, and so I was steeped in avant-garde art. So that is also something that I've added to my videos. So it just shows you can show different dimensions of your
absolutely. I could talk to you about art and music all day.
You could, right? So books seem a bit boring after all that, don't they?
I know. All right, let's get into some comments and see what people are talking about. Alan says Nosferatu by Joe Hill. We were going back to Nosferatu comments.
Oh, Nosferatu on the thing. I love that Nosferatu movie as well. That's a beautiful movie.
Jess says Joe Hill is Stephen King's son. Yes, he is. Alan says, yep. We did that one. Sandy says we both look good.
Sandy is my wife.
Hi, Sandy. Nice to meet you.
I'm glad she's saying I look good. You've got me relaxed, though. You've slowly relaxed me. I'm just about getting relaxed now. It took about an hour.
Yeah, well, I told you. It's
like a neck massage via Zoom.
Alan says academia writing. Celeste says you guys should both do a hair collab video.
Oh, someone asked me once in all seriousness. I remember they just fixed me with a stare and said, this was at university, I think, and said, Jason, do you own a comb? and I said to them, honestly, I said, no.
Yeah.
Well, fingers are.
There you go. That's a comb.
Fingers are a comb that you can never lose. Unless you have an industrial accident, I suppose.
That's right. Crystal at Fiber Artsy said hello. William said, I don't often sit in front of my bookshelf during filming because of how noisy the street outside is. I usually film in my brother's old blue walled bedroom. Everyone's saying hello to each other. William says, Tix, yeah, I should edit out my snorts, coughs, and grunts. If I told you how many coughing sessions I had to edit out of my last 2 videos, it probably had to be at least 100 cuts. At least.
It's like filming with COVID, isn't it?
Oh, it's just the weather is changing here, and it's just sinus drainage, and I've had it for a week.
MJ, the hardest one for me was one of the hardest ones was when actually I'll point out a few videos for the performances if people want to know. The one that took the most takes was the review of The Holy Sinner by Thomas Mann, review number 13, I think it is, because it's a very intricate book and it has lots of different languages are used in the book. And so I wrote the script to reflect the richness of the language, and it made it almost impossible to perform. The best one take video I did was the review number 9 for The Driver's Seat by Muriel Spark, which is a great book. And I did a 10-minute bit straight to camera. Yeah. That was the best. That's the best like 10-minute one I've done. And what was it? Oh, and then that ChatGPT one I did that not many people seem to enjoy or click on, the Kafka and the Mr. Men. Reading out that Kafka and the Mr. Men thing was absolutely impossible. I just kept corpsing the whole time. Every time I got to the bit where the lawyer was called Mr. Clever and the judge, you know, I just that was a real trial. Oh, a real trial. Oh dear, I shouldn't say that. Kafka the trial. That was a very unintentional.
Let's see. Alan says, I've made over 1,000 videos in 5 years. Alan, that's insane and that's awesome.
Wow.
Jess asks, Jason, what book or author got you into reading when you were a child?
That is a great question, Jess. There's a story attached to it. I'll tell the story. One thing that I find kind of curious, MJ, is in terms of who's had the most influence on my life, that it's been a number of illiterate people that had a big influence on me. That which I find interesting. You know, I study literature. I'm kind of on a track to try and become a professor, but it was actually people that couldn't read or write that had a huge influence on me. One of them was like a gypsy.
Okay.
He would call himself a traveler. Yeah, we'll call him a traveler. That's what they're called these days in England. He couldn't read or write, and he had a massive impact on my thinking about absolutely every part of my life.
Wow.
Because he lived in a completely different way. He even had a different time sense to anything that I'd encountered. But to go back to what got me into reading, my mum had a friend that she worked for, and he couldn't read or write. He was profoundly dyslexic, and he was a very successful businessman. And actually, I've met some really successful dyslexic people because they tend to be very good at delegating. You know, they'll get other people's brains. They don't mind handing over responsibility for things. So often they do very well. They know their limits. Yeah. Whereas a lot of us don't know what we're not good at. So he moved to a country house because he was opening a riding school. And in the outhouses, they found all these boxes of old books. And I was about 12. I was about 12 years old. And he showed up one day with 2 or 3 boxes of these old books. And they were really old books. They were from the 30s, most of the editions. And I remember there was What Katie Did Next, which I've got here on the shelf to read. But the book that I picked up that really grabbed me was Of Mice and Men.
Oh, yeah. That's fantastic.
And I read that when I was about 12 or 13.
Wow.
And although I'd been a big reader up to that point, my favorite reading was Robin Hood stories. I grew up really close to where the Robin Hood legends supposedly took place. So I didn't live too far from Sherwood. I've been to Sherwood Forest. So King Arthur and Robin Hood especially. But when I read Of Mice and Men, I got a feeling from reading that book that Robin Hood had never provided. And I suppose what I was really feeling was the power of literature, the power of a work of art. And I'm still a big admirer of John Steinbeck's writing. And I'm very thankful. And my dad also then afterwards, and I know people don't really talk about this book that much, but you know, the movie is very famous. Shane, the Western.
Shane? Oh, that is the first Western I ever read.
Yeah, my dad, I remember exactly the edition it was. It was this hardback with a yellow cover, like a duotone, like black and yellow duotone. And my dad gave it to me. And I really enjoyed that. Yeah.
That was so good.
yeah, that was really, really good.
Yeah,
Aged about.
I actually DNF that movie because I didn't relate it to the book at all.
Oh, really? So yeah, I
Yeah,
really enjoyed that book. That was really powerful. So
so good.
yeah, Jess, that was a great question. I'm really happy to answer that.
Okay, let's see. Gareth from Book Songs and Other Magic says, "Hi guys, lovely to meet Jason."
Oh, thank you.
Celeste says, "Yes, raising the laptop is a great tip for Teams meeting at work too." Absolutely. Everyone's saying hello. Alan says, "Geez, Jason, I mean, that's all great advice, but I haven't followed any of it. Probably why I can't follow 700, why I can't break 700 subscribers." Alan, your channel is just fine. And Jess says the same thing.
What is Alan's channel there? What is Alan's channel?
Alan's channel is Big Hard Books and Classics.
Oh, but doesn't he have some massive following? I'm always hearing people talking about Big Hard Books and Classic this and Big Hard Books and Classic that, and Big Hard Books and Classic guy said this about this, and that reminds me, MJ, because actually, if we've got Alan there, because yeah, people do say like Alan will have had some opinion video maybe on a particular issue, and yeah, I never do those. I never do those.
Like a reaction video.
Yeah. I'm really wary of those. And actually, I would recommend that if people are just starting their channel, don't join in with those ones where you chime in on some debate.
Yeah.
I would say steer clear of those until you're really a part of the BookTube community and you feel comfortable. And although I'm 15 months into making my videos, I don't feel as comfortable as these like Steve Donahue guy or these I hear people talking about Criminoli has an opinion about this, or I think it's Alan. If I've got it wrong, I'm sorry. I'm not criticizing you. All I mean is there are some people who are like opinion formers or opinion leaders on BookTube, and I'm not one of them. And I've just sort of never tried to say, well, Steve Donahue said this, and now I'm going to, So you can just go your own way on those. So. Yeah, I'm going over to look at those Big Hard Books and see maybe it's super slick and he's just like having me on.
Yeah, no, he's actually doing he runs an event with another booktuber called Faulkner in August. So they read they're reading Absalom this month, which that's an event that goes on every year.
That's another thing. I tend to be too busy to take part in the events. Yeah. So I don't usually do that. I'm a big fan of Faulkner though, and it's probably because of Light in August, perhaps, that they do it in August. Is that the reference there? That's very, very
probably. Coda's here. Coda says hello, happy Saturday. Ollie's here. He says hello, everyone.
Oh, see, there's the Criminoli guy. Hello.
Yeah,
hello.
the Criminoli guy. Thomas McCarthy says greetings to the hostess and all here. Hello, Thomas. Nice to see you. Everyone's saying hello. Erie says, I'm enjoying the mixed media mad scientist vibes. Nice. Jess says, I went to Nashville and Memphis, Tennessee last year. I had a great time.
Oh, the Nashville skyline. Right.
Yeah, I've never been to Nashville.
Nashville's a great place. I recommend Ted Turner's Southern Grill if it's still there. I had the bison burger. It was absolutely amazing.
We're a big fan of bison here.
Sorry?
We're a big fan of bison here. We have bison steaks.
Oh, it's really delicious. And the Peabody Hotel in Memphis, where the Rolling Stones and Dylan will stay when they visit. And it has all the wood paneling inside, and it has the Duckmaster.
Nice.
You know this Duckmaster thing? They have a guy who's dressed all in livery, and his job is to kind of lead like a little procession of ducks and ducklings through the hotel at a set time each day. And so people come to watch the duck ceremony.
There used to be something like that in Florida at the Peabody or the Fontainebleau, something like that. And they would have a duck thing. Yeah.
Or maybe every Peabody has one of these. If you watch Wag the Dog, the Dustin Hoffman movie about American politics, that is one of the movies that has one of the best views of Nashville. When they go to record the song, they record that country song. Yeah, when they come into Nashville, they've got a very pleasing view of the skyline there.
Wonderful. Ollie says he hopes everyone's having a great weekend. Let's see. Gareth says, only a few more days of Garb August. I've got to finish a few books before I start an event-free September. Ha ha. Courtney from Tangible Reads is here. She says, hello. Everyone's saying hello. Jess asks, what was the saddest book you read this year? And with a follow-up, what was the toughest one you've read so far?
Oh, what a great question. Let me have a think.
Have a think.
I will have to have a brief think. I don't usually get that emotional when I read. It's really, really rare that I'll feel the emotions being engaged to the point of tears. The Patti Smith one was one of those.
Yeah.
Recently I read the Sir Walter Scott. I'm reading all of the Walter Scott novels. I'm going to read all 28. And I read Guy Mannering, the second one. And I did find the amount of the sheer quantity of heart. You know, it's like reading Dickens at his best. I know sometimes people say Dickens is too sentimental. Walter Scott kind of pitches it just right. And in Guy Mannering, there is a character who is really a figure of fun throughout the novel. And he has some kind of, maybe he's on the autistic spectrum. It's really awkward socially. And oh dear, I just realized where this is going. The only thing he really feels comfortable around is books.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that I saw myself in this character by any means, but
a lot of us are like that.
Something terrible happens to him in the book. He's in charge of the central character when he's kidnapped as a young boy at the age of 5, and he constantly goes over this in his mind, like the guilt of being the person who was charged with looking after this child who was then kidnapped. And this child's story, it's told in a prophecy. It's called The Astrologer as well. So it's got quite a few like supernatural elements. Nice. But throughout the book, you're just laughing at him from the outside. And then what Scott does very close to the end of the book, so he's waited about 300 pages to do this. You've been mocking this guy or laughing at him for 300 pages. Suddenly, for one chapter only, takes you right inside his mind and his heart and shows you how broken he is by that experience. And the boy has returned as a man, and it's all about his kind of joy, you know, the fact that the prodigal son has returned. So Scott really moved me with that novel. Other parts of it were just really beautiful romance, like there's bandits and he does call them gypsies. There's a big gypsy element in there. It was just wonderful. He has amazing female characters. So I think that's single chapter in Sir Walter Scott, who I love. I know Steve Donahue, that guy, that's the only thing I've got in common with him is we both love Sir Walter Scott, but that did move me.
Yeah.
What does tough mean, Jess? Does it mean like challenging to read? Is it something?
I would say so.
I think reading the novels in French is the most challenging thing. In terms of the pace, you've got to take it like a page or two a day. So that was really challenging. I'm not really trying to read a lot of avant-garde books right now. I did Thomas Bernhard, those ones are quite challenging, but from my art school background, you know, there are many more that are much more avant-garde or challenging than that. Yeah. But I'm not really investing my time in those right now. I think Arno Schmidt would be about the absolute limit of what you could get involved with in terms of complexity. I've got a few that I want to read. There's a Latin American one called I the Supreme by Augusto Roa-Bastos, this guy from Paraguay. It's considered the greatest novel ever to come out of Paraguay. That's a very complex novel. Good. So it is good. It's all about writing. This tyrannical president tries to control every act of writing in his kingdom, but someone is producing like this scurrilous material about him, and they're just appearing all around the city, and it's about his quest to try and find out who it is. And you know, the thing is with writing is once it's written on a piece of paper, you can never be sure who was the author. right?
Right.
So it plays upon his paranoia there. So that's a difficult one. Auto da Fe by Elias Canetti. I've tried to start it and finish it a number of times, and I've never managed it yet. Someone recommended I have another try at reading Auto da Fe, which again is all about books. If people are not familiar with it, it's about a guy with an imaginary library.
That
Thanks,
all
Jess.
sounds wonderful. See, Courtney's here. She says, we hope we're having a good morning. Celeste asks, how do you track your books? Do you use, how do you track it? What methodology?
Does this mean storing them on the shelves?
I think like a lot of us use Goodreads or Storygraph. Do you keep a list? Do you have an Excel? Do you have a notebook?
Actually, because because I got into the new media. I said I was involved in like multimedia, like design, web design when I was at university. So I did work as a coder for about 10 or 15 years. I used to do that as I was traveling around the world. So that kept me like, I was a digital nomad until about 2000, and not for about 10 years. I was a digital nomad. I gave it up in 2010, but I've got on my website bookarmor.com, where I keep track of all my reading. I've got a database there that's got all my books loaded into it. And the reason for this is, I did point it out in one of my videos, I've got about 6 copies of Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen. I kept buying it again and again and forgetting that I had it.
Yeah.
So I've got my database, and when I'm in the store, I'll go on there and have a look and see if I've already got it or not, because I can't really remember everything I've bought.
Right.
I've got about 2,000. I think somewhere between 2,000 and 3,000 books in this room. That's all bought used, pretty much.
Yeah.
I did use Book Depository and eBay a little bit at various times. You know, you just can't get around buying new books every now and again. But they're all used. And then for the actual Goodreads, I do have a Goodreads, but you know, it's like when you're typing in like adding the books that you've got, I feel like you're working for Goodreads. I feel like, you know, you should be getting paid or something.
Yeah.
Because it takes so long to put them on. And you know, I think, what am I doing here? And then it asks you for a review. It's like, oh, you know, what are you talking about? You're gonna buy me a coffee or something? No. So I just feel like the Mr. Goodreads guy is sat there with his feet up on the desk, like watching the money roll in while everyone else toils for him. And I think my love of literature is so great that it more than outweighs, you know, getting into working for Mr. Goodreads on a weekend. Storygraph, Brandon's Bookshelf. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
Yeah.
Actually, one way to say that I developed my vision for my channel, this would be a very kind of cruel or shorthand way of saying I developed my vision, was I'm everything that Brandon's Bookshelves is not. If you've watched his channel, you'll know what I mean. He's like this data-driven, super ambitious, totally organized, you know, and he's got all these pie charts and different graphs of his reading. And I was absolutely amazed when I was watching them. And I did have a bit of banter with Brandon, saying I'm the anti-Brandon. You know, I have trouble like even organizing my hair is enough of a task. And then I watch Brandon there, and he's like, I read 32% more nonfiction in the month of August, year on year. He's like going into like this. I'm like, oh, all right, like that. And then I realized that I looked around my room, and all I could do was like count how many books were on the floor or something like that. And on my video, I'll try my Brandon accent right. I can do it on the Disappointing Man. I say, I found 34 books on the floor, and year on year, that is a 10% increase on last year. I think I could weigh my books, would not be a problem. I could put them on a scale. Brandon hasn't thought of that. Oh, but Brandon does it. Even the page count was there. He even knew the page count of every book, and also his book was like, if you put all the pages like end to end, they would stretch to the moon. You know, he worked out how many times his books would go to the moon and back. Yeah.
Hey, whatever a creator wants to create, right?
You could get together with Elon Musk or something like that and make some kind of BookTube rocket or something.
Yeah. Gareth wants to ask about music. The band Japan are great. Do you like David Sylvian and Robert Fripp albums?
Do I like, what was it, David Sylvian and
David Sylvian or Robert Fripp albums?
Yeah, you see, David Sylvian. I'm not really like follow all their solo stuff, but sorry,
That's okay.
but David Sylvian did a one song, I
Mm-hmm.
believe, and maybe who asked the question? Gareth.
Gareth from
All
Book
right,
Songs
Gareth.
and Other Magic.
Oh, okay. He did a song with an act called Tweaker. Does Gareth know this song called Pure Genius?
I don't know.
Yeah, that is. I say, Gareth, if you know that song, you'll know. Absolutely, I absolutely adore that song. David Sylvian's voice is just like, you know, some people have voices that are just like 5-star hotels or something like this. You know, like there's a whole elegance or like a whole aesthetic mixed into the tone of their voice.
Yeah.
And I'm really attracted to that quality. Robert Fripp, I think, played guitar with Talking Heads.
Yes, and he's been on Bowie.
Remain in Light, I think, which is my favorite Talking Heads album. So nice. I know Robert Fripp from that, but again, I know he's got a huge body of work, but I'm just familiar with like little. Oh, and on the same subject, I didn't post about this, but I was in terms of the emotional read. Like Jess asked the question, nothing in books this year compares with the emotional upset, shock, heartache of Sinead O'Connor passing away. Nothing struck me that hard this year because I didn't just respect her as just as a singer. To me, she was a major artist, a truly major artist, and I'd admired her work to just like right the way since the start of her career. And that was pretty devastating. I didn't post anything about it, but I did suffer with that.
Yeah, that was sad news for sure. I'm just scrolling through some of the comments. I'm sorry if I'm skipping up. A lot of people are having little side conversations. Light in August is my favorite Faulkner, Alan says.
That's really good, Jess. Yes, that was beautiful.
Yeah. Coda says, I've never read Faulkner, but I own As I Lay Dying.
I think one thing you have to say with Faulkner, if people are going to read it, is it's written on it's a reading experience that is of a completely different pace to anything else that you might have been reading. And even if you're a really dedicated reader, when I started reading Faulkner in maybe my 30s, it was still a real shock to my system. It moves so much more slowly than other writing, and you have to be ready for how slowly it's going to move. Actually, George Gissing is nothing to do with Faulkner, but his books are also extremely weighty and slow moving, and they really grow and they have such a huge impact as you head into like the second or half and the concluding sections. And Faulkner is like that. It's not oppressive, but it's like, it's the depth of it. You're submerged in it by the time you're sort of well into it, but it is very, very slow. You have to respect that it's not going to move at the pace that you're used to. Yeah.
Let's see. Coda says, I've been seriously speaking in classics this year, or slacking in classics.
Oh, I thought I said speaking in class. I thought that was a reference.
That's what it was, but he meant to type slacking. Let's see. Coda, As I Lay Dying, make you laugh, make you cry. Coda says, that sounds wonderful. I'll let you know when I read it. Backman books do that to me. My favorite is My Grandmother Asked Me to Tell You She's Sorry. So good. Everybody thinks Coda should start a channel. I think so too. Let's see. Alan got a new tattoo. My studio currently has 6 books on the floor. Wait, hang on.
I tidied my books off the floor because I had the air conditioning unit serviced. That was the only thing that made me move my books, was the threat of them being covered in dust by the guy fixing the AC.
Nice. Garrett says, yeah, that's a great song, Jason. Courtney commented on Alan's brand new ink. Nice. Well, Jason, this has been fantastic. We've been talking for almost 2 hours. You know that, right?
Is it really 2 hours on the thing?
Yeah, almost. Okay. We've got an hour and 40 minutes.
Well, I hope everyone's enjoying. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no. So if anyone wants to ask any last minute questions, feel free to do so now. And we're just gonna start dialing it back and wrapping it up. So what did you
Go
think
ahead,
about
everyone. Ask a few questions. What are you going to say, MK?
I was gonna say what did you think of your first live? How has your experience been?
My heart is still going like a hamster's here. I don't know why. It's really difficult to deal with. I apologize to the people watching if they just think that it's just too far away from what they see on my channel. But I think people might understand me better from watching this. That it really is a persona. That the key word for me when I do the channel is modulation.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good
It's
word.
being able to have an opposing force
Mhm.
pressing against you and feel it. And I'm never running completely free. My
Mhm.
mouth is never running free on my channel. And
Yeah.
I would also say a couple of last bits of advice, and people can reject this if they like. And I know some people have their own style, but for me, I don't do my thinking while I'm filming.
I do.
Because I don't like to watch someone think. When I watch a video and they're doing a tag video and
Mhm.
they're sat there, what would I say, contemplating like an answer to a prompt, I'm not really into that. Do your thinking before you film. That would be my advice. And especially because, I'm a PhD student, when you go and do presentations, you're not expected to be busy. It's expected to get your thinking in beforehand, and it's all
Mhm.
about the performance on the day.
Yeah.
And I'm also a big fan of preparation,
Mhm.
like obviously. So I didn't use it, but I had it. I went because we went to art school, MJ. You'll know that if you've been around musicians, you might have heard of the 7 Ps.
Mm.
Yeah, I'll make it 6 Ps. I'll take out the one that's offensive, but um, planning and preparation prevent
Mhm.
poor performance.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm a big believer in that. And musicians like to play off the fact, especially being cool and smoking a cigarette on stage or sticking one in their guitar neck and all of
Mhm.
this effortless kind of thing. But honestly, in my experience, very few artists, apart from dancers and musicians,
Yeah.
are the hardest working. But they
Yes.
don't let you see their hard work.
Correct. That's all
Yeah.
behind the scenes. Mhm.
It's all behind the scenes. So
Yeah.
if you've been exposed to that kind of environment, it rubs off on you. And there's no way a band's going to, if they've got any self-respect. The
Mhm.
rehearsal time was sacred. Actually, I was very lucky because I was one of the very few people in my university who was not a musician, but would be part of like rehearsals because
Mhm.
those are sacred spaces. And
Yeah.
so they did bring me in because you won't believe this, I was the concept guy. I was like the Andy Warhol. I would come up with the
Love
artwork.
it.
I would come up with the titles because
Yeah.
musicians are often not very good at giving their songs titles.
Mhm.
Um, I had one concept for a band that I wanted to do that was a bit like ABC,
Yeah.
who I really love. And I love Heaven 17. And so I
Yeah.
wanted to do this band that were called the Young Businessmen of the Year. And the whole look would all be about like they were all entrepreneurs and they would,
Mhm.
like it was huge smartphones or something, huge cell phones stuck to their ears and things. But that was one of my, it didn't get off the ground, that one, unfortunately.
Nice. Yeah, we the artists definitely think differently. Alan says, "Jason, I like your academic thinking."
What's this
Nice.
academic thinking? Is this someone rubbing a? Is this about the channel? Who said that?
Alan from Big Hard Books and
Oh,
Classics.
can you expand on what that is? Does he mean about the videos? Because he can't really mean what I'm saying here. This has been 2 hours of
Ah,
not being too much that's academic about this, Alan. Here, Alan, if you're mocking me, you have to declare yourself.
yeah, I don't
Pistols
think
at
he's mocking
dawn,
you.
Alan.
No, Alan is a good guy. Coda
Well,
says,
so
I always love meeting you all in these candid live episodes. Jason, don't worry about your appearance. You've been genuine and wonderful.
who's saying that there? I have to
That's
write them down.
Coda. Coda is a
I
subscriber.
wish I could read these. I haven't got the glasses won't help.
You can read it.
I'm
You can read
making
it on the
make,
replay.
I'm making some notes.
There you
if
go.
they have channels, I'll go and check them out.
Yeah. Nettie from Digging Books says, hello, everyone. People are saying hello to Nettie. Hello, Nettie. Alan says, I'm not mocking you, Jason. Nope.
Oh, so
He's being
it might
genuine.
mean the videos on. It might mean on the channel.
Yeah, just your overall vibe.
I'm starting to wonder, I do wonder if people thought that when they tuned in today that they were going to get like a 1 hour lecture on German high romanticism or something like this, or every answer would be like, hold on, bro. Every answer would have been, well, I'm grateful to the gentleman for raising this interesting question. And of course, in 1868, Wilkie Collins would have been writing The Moonstone.
Yeah, Courtney has a nice
none of that.
Courtney has a nice observation about Alan. I think he means you think before you speak, and it's thorough. So that's a genuine compliment.
Oh yeah, that's like I said, wasn't it? It's like get your thinking in ahead of time. Is sage advice. Oh, there's one more thing I wanted to say. That reminded me of something. This is another thing that's different about my channel that people might have noticed is quite a lot of booktubers, they only talk about the one book that they're making their video about. Whereas one of the things that is very different on my channel is having some kind of grasp of like how all the works of literature fit together inside literary history. And so if you watch one of my videos, anyone who's not subscribed to my channel, well, I don't mind if you've never heard of me actually, or this is the first time you've seen me. But if you go over there and have a look, what you'll find is it's not just that I do cover quite a wide range of books. So if I just look on my shelf, for example, I've got my African American section over here that I'm really keen on, full of like, especially African American women. That's one of my passions there. So Zora Neale Hurston is one of the writers, one of my favorites actually. If people are wondering, then all my French books, then all my, Virago, the publisher. No, they're from Britain. Virago, the books always have these green covers, so they're readily identifiable, and also they usually have amazing art. So this is Picasso, obviously. So everyone will have some amazing, artwork. They're all mostly there by women because they're all feminist classics, but they'll have the occasional feminist work by a male writer. So I've got about 50 of these because I pick things up wherever I see them.
Yeah.
But what people will find is, even if my title is one book, so it might be Lady Audley's Secret was one of the last ones. If they tune in, it won't be one book. It will be how it fits into kind of literary history, what it was influenced by, what was going on at that period of literary production, what other authors you might want to check out alongside that. So that's one of the things that I do think if you're going to speak about when you do BookTube and finding your own way, that was one thing I could do that not everyone was doing.
Correct.
And so that goes back to my bit of advice there. So when who was it, Gareth? It was Gareth, wasn't it? So the thinking part, use your own kind of thinking and don't get caught up in other people's.
That was Alan. Alan made the comment about academic.
Don't get caught up in other people's kinds of. When I mean channel, I mean channel like a stream. Don't follow along in another person's channel in that way. Just draw upon your own resources. The first half of my life, my reading was all self-directed. I was just an autodidact because I came from a very blue-collar family, and no one in my family's been to university. I'm just myself. So I've left my background behind, basically, on my journey. So the first half was all autodidacticism, mostly through rock music, getting me into books, and then used bookstores, and just I never used the library. I usually bought used books. Counterculture writers like Philip K. Dick. I saw MJ. You were talking about J.G. Ballard.
Yes.
I absolutely love J.G. Ballard, and I pointed out to my wife. I said, "Oh, MJ, you never know what someone might like. You never know the points of intersection. But you've got a bit of this, like you like this kind of a bit of sexy kind of,
I like a little bit. I like a little bit of everything.
Body horror." And actually, I thought J.G. Ballard kind of does tick this box in a way. So, you could be into it too. I don't follow you down the horror path as far as you go, but we have points where we kind of connect.
We intersect. So, yes.
Yeah. So you can always be aware of that. So think about what you can draw upon from your own resources. Then the last since 2000, I went to university. Then I had a break. But what's happened is the university has just kind of refined my approach. So I'm a mix of the self-taught and the trained.
Right.
That's what it is. So that's what's produced The Disappointed Man. And I've also traveled, around the world on the way. So by the end of it, you'll be already sufficiently different to other people that you don't need to be worried about emulating them. You can just think that you're already rich enough in experience to do something worthwhile.
Absolutely. This has been such a fantastic, like almost 2 hours. Let me just scroll through some comments really fast. Let's see. Alan says he got kicked out of the PhD program at Arizona State University.
Oh dear.
Courtney says, great art. People have to leave. They're saying goodbye. Nettie says, this is the first time I've seen you, Jason. You read some very interesting lit. I will check out your channel. I march to the beat of my own drum. LOL. That's good advice.
Do you like that song, Different Drum?
Who sings it?
What was that guy called? The Lemonheads did a version.
Oh, I love Evan Dando.
You know Evan Dando, the Lemonheads?
I love Evan Dando.
The original song is by the Monkees.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and that had that you and I march to the beat of a different drum. That is a great 60s tune there. Thanks for reminding me of that. Yeah, great advice there.
Let's see. Besides dating students, teaching class drunk, my GPA fell and I was out of there. Oh gosh, Alan.
Oh, this is how you get kicked off a PhD program. Hold on. Don't worry. On the live stream, I'm going to read that comment again and make a few notes on it. Thanks for that.
Yeah. Coda says, Jason, I don't have a channel, but I'm on MJ's Discord and on LinkedIn, Insta, Goodreads, Facebook, LOL. He's everywhere.
Wow, I'm not. Actually, I limit myself to, I did put my Goodreads, I did put Goodreads. Someone wanted to be my Goodreads friend, so I put it on one of the comments. I could put it in the about, but the about has got my email. The about has got my email, so people can send messages. I got a guy sent me a free book. I did make the video about that, and it was a Christian fantasy book, and he sent me a very delightful email, and I couldn't say no. It was so kind of absurd, random, but I got him to write to The Disappointed Man, on the dedication. So I was very, very happy with that. So that's really the only one that's approached me so far. Good luck if you're on all those platforms, but I can just about manage. Actually, I only promote my channel. I don't promote my channel. No, that's it. I just do my YouTube videos and my posts. I don't do any Twitter I did use Twitter, but since Elon Musk took over at Twitter, he has killed it.
Yeah, pretty much.
And I'm not saying that from a liberal perspective or a Republican perspective. I was a power user of Twitter because I love journalism, and I used TweetDeck for the last 10 years.
I signed on to Twitter back in 2006 when there were no ads.
Yeah, well, TweetDeck when it started was third party. It wasn't owned by Twitter. Right. And then they bought it, and then they monetized it. And now, if you use the Twitter without TweetDeck and paying the money, every second tweet is an ad.
That's crazy. Yeah.
So so I've given up. I was really heartbroken because that happened. Not as heartbreaking as Sinead O'Connor.
Yeah, for sure.
It was in another way. That was a real kick in the guts. Kick in the.
Whenever we lose someone that is important, culturally to us, we're both Gen X. It just hits hard sometimes, whether it be a musician, an actor, whatever. And it's tough to get through,
It is. And actually, MJ, I always think that the deaths of these major artists, they always shine a light on just how choreographed and fake a lot of the emotion, the supposed public mourning is that surrounds political figures. People were really, I don't think, as upset at the Queen dying as they were at Sinead O'Connor dying. I think artists actually mean more to us than anyone.
Yeah, I think I think it just matters on your experience. Like for me, I took the Queen's death very hard because my family, they're very much into the royals. So we would always watch the weddings and the funerals and all that, whatever was on TV. And having lost all of my family, my mother, my aunts that used to do all this, the Queen was the last one in that group, So when she passed, it was like, I lost that connection. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. But it's kind of like, Yeah, but that is like what doctors call referred pain.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right? You know,
Yeah.
you've got a pain in your leg, but actually it's something in your stomach that's causing it. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not buying that 100%. Even though I
Yeah.
do understand that. That is true. They can act in this symbolic way. But I just mean in
Absolutely.
terms of the contribution people, maybe the Queen's a bad example because she did
Yeah.
do quite a lot. She did do a lot of like public stuff. But other
Yeah.
times, especially when politicians die, don't tell me everyone was upset about some politician dude
Mm.
passing away as they were when David Bowie or Prince, oh my God, you know.
It took me a full year to get over David Bowie. Like literally. I was in mourning for a full year. Like
Actually,
that's no joke.
to wrap up, you know, actually to go into that, like you said about what the Queen's death meant,
Mm.
David Bowie died on the same day as my mother died.
Oh,
So
yeah. That's
the
double.
whole world was mourning David Bowie, so was I.
Yeah.
But also my mother died the same day. So even now, like every time that day is cycling around, I'll be
Mhm.
sending my sister like these messages in the
Yeah.
run up to that date,
Mhm.
reassuring her, you know, that I'm thousands of miles away in Taiwan, but I really am thinking about her because it hit my
Yeah.
sister so much harder than it hit me. But I'm
Mhm.
really conscious of that. But so when I hear a David Bowie song, it does make kind of, you know, it's kind of
Yeah.
doubly painful.
Bittersweet, right?
But actually, he was one of those artists that was so great that
Mhm.
sometimes when an artist dies, I feel like their work becomes too painful to bear.
Yeah.
Especially actors, sometimes it can be this way too. But with Bowie, his work is so great that
Mhm.
the fact that he's passed away doesn't detract from it in any way. It's just like makes it even better in some respects.
Yeah.
It's just,
I can only listen to Black Star on his death day. That's it. I don't listen to any other day because it's too much. I can't handle it.
you know, I haven't actually listened to that one. I just
Oof.
spare myself. Yeah, I just spare myself.
Yeah,
Spare
it's
myself
heavy.
this.
It's heavy. Okay, let's get positive again. Hee hee. All right.
Yeah,
So
sorry about that, everyone.
no, that's okay. Erie says off to finish by the rivers of Babylon, which weirdly ties into the video because it focuses on illness. Have a great weekend, everyone.
By the Rivers of Babylon, who's that one by?
I don't know.
All
Rivers
right,
of
I'll have a look at that. I'm reading a great illness narrative right now. It's by a doctor. She's called Doctor. I think um, it's like Dr. Awad Rashid or something like this, and it's really interesting. She was a pulmonologist, but
Mhm,
she developed this bleeding from her liver when she was pregnant, 7 months pregnant, and
mhm,
it's her memoir of getting through this
mm,
illness. I'm
yeah.
going to write about it as part of my PhD research, but I do really enjoy these illness narratives when they're well written, and this one
Mhm,
is just so humble, even though she's just a really smart person, and it's beautifully kind of organized as well. I'm going to
mhm.
make a video of that. But by the rivers of Babylon, I'm noting that down right now. I'm
Note it
going to
down.
Google that as soon as this talk is finished.
There you go. Jason says his name is his name Joshua Hershey. If so, he's a great writer. I don't know what that's in reference to.
Yeah, it is. It's Joshua Hershey. He sent me his book, and
Okay, yeah.
I did make a like a 1 minute video, like a quirky first for the channel,
Mhm,
because I actually didn't want it's partly to do with the monetization, MJ, like the principles of the channel, because
mhm,
work in education. I believe education should be for everyone, and that is
mhm,
one reason why my channel is conceived as being for everyone. So part of that is, one, I can't add a Patreon, I can't add memberships, I can't do anything that would create different tiers of content, because that would not be being true to my principles. The
right.
people that do it, that's fine for them. I've got no opinion either way, but it doesn't
Mhm,
work for me. And so
yeah.
I didn't want to be someone who was soliciting books, because it might put me in a kind of uncomfortable position, you know, if I felt an obligation to promote them or to praise them. And so
Mhm,
when I interacted with Joshua, it was very clear that he was sending it as a gift to the channel, and I wasn't under any kind of obligation about what I would say about
mhm,
it. It was all done with honor. It was done with
yeah.
honor and generosity of spirit, and it
Mhm,
was the charming emails he sent. The email, it was the charming email he sent that was why I consented to that. And I was so happy when I went to collect it. I had it sent to the university office where I get my mail. So I went in there with my scissors and, oh, look at this, look at this.
There you go.
So, yeah, it was Joshua Hershey. I haven't finished it yet, but I'll put a video up when I'm through with it.
Okay, Erie says Antonio Lobo Antunes wrote that book that he mentioned, the Babylon.
The Babylon one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Let's see.
I've got
Alan,
my pen.
Nettie says Bowie dying upset me for months. Absolutely. Alan says, what am I going to do when Keith Richards and Paul McCartney dies? We're just shutting down the whole country. That's what we're doing.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see. Digging books. That was a horrendous year for deaths. Yes, it was. MJ, do you have the Starman Tarot? Yes, I do. If I forgot, I'm going to send you one. No, I have it. I just don't really understand it, but I try. Linden Falls. Linden Falls
is what it is, yes.
So good, yes. He did BookTube blanket to promote Linden. Smart. Nice.
He did what is this?
Courtney said he did BookTube blanket to promote Linden. Smart.
I didn't get a blanket. Maybe it's too hot in Taiwan. He didn't send me a blanket. Nothing good. I'll have to check in the envelope.
Yeah.
Must be a small blanket, that's for sure.
Jason, we've been talking for 2 hours and 2 minutes.
You're saying it like you're angry with me.
No, I'm just I got to get up and move.
I know what's going on. As soon as this live stream finishes, I'm going to be turning around, kicking the cat. And
no, I got to stretch. I'm sitting in one spot for too long. Jason, honestly, this has been a fantastic conversation. I would love to have you back on with like some other people to talk like music and art in the future. Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah. Can you do that where you have a few people at the same time?
Yeah.
What, like three or four?
Absolutely. You just raise your hand if you want to say something. Yeah, we could totally do that.
All right, okay. I can
be something fun.
Talk a bit more.
Yeah. All right.
Can I just say thank you to everyone that's
yes.
the comments and the questions. I really appreciate those. And I hope you've enjoyed this chance to see a bit behind the mask.
Yeah, there's always a lot of value that these types of lives bring to people. And that's why we keep doing them. So thank you so much for agreeing to come on. It's been fascinating.
Thank you. I'm off to take some tranquilizers right now.
Get some sleep. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone that was hanging out in the chat. Thank you for everyone that's watching on the replay. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Be sure to check out Jason's channel, the channel of a disappointed man, for more content. All right, everyone. Until next time, goodbye for now.